Come on, Barrett, you know the game. You pay for peace of mind.
Can't you just look the other way this week, Joe? Come on, we can sort it out, right?
It's not my call, Barrett. You pay one way or another.
Please, Joe. How long have we known each other? We even used to be neighbours, for Christ's sake.
I'd prefer not to give you another beating, Barrett.
Excuse me, sir. I have a few questions for you.
Another journalist? I didn't answer the first one, so piss off!
I'm not a journalist, I'm a doctor.
A doctor, you say? It's quite a rare breed in this part of town.
Really? But still, here I am. Dr. Jonathan Reed, at your service.
I'm Joe Peterson to some, but Colossus Joe to most. And I don't remember asking for your service, sir.
May I ask what you do around here?
I do whatever I want, and sometimes even more. Now sod off.
According to you, physicians are scarce in this part of town. Why is that?
Not familiar with this neighborhood, are you? I guess your fancy colleagues are too afraid of being stabbed in the back.
This part of town does have quite a reputation. Would you say it's justified?
Totally. Look at me, for instance. I always look my opponent in the eye before knocking him out.
Harry doesn't seem happy living in Whitechapel. Why did you make him come here?
I've always put my son's interests above everything else, whatever he may think. Our house is small but affordable. The walls are thin, but the door is solid.
You really love your son, don't you, Mr. Peterson?
He's my pride and joy. Even if he hates me for the choices I make and pushes me buttons more than he should.
Do you have any regrets?
Only one. Not to have my beloved wife by my side. She died when Harry was little. My sweet Jane. She gave the boy confidence.
Since the criminal nature of your job means you could be arrested, are you not afraid of what would happen to your boy if you were?
No one will ever take my son away from me. If that ever occurred, I'd hunt the bastard down and rip off his head with my bare hands.
Have you heard of a nurse named Doroty Crane? She's a colleague of mine and is supposed to live around here.
Doroty Crane? Yeah, I know her. One of the few good souls who dare to help the sick around here.
Could you please tell me more about her?
She's a nice girl. Tries to help the migrants. I offered to give her a hand, but she said my reputation would attract too much attention.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
District has always been wretched. Don't let your guard down.
So you only hurt people because you care about me? Is that it?
Don't be such a brat. I do what I must to provide us with food and medicine, that's all.
Mum would never have let you bully an old friend like Mr. Lewis. Shame on you.
Harry, I'm your father and I love you. But don't you ever speak to me like that again.
What? You're gonna beat me too?
Jesus. Give me patience.
I will return at a more convenient time.
Welcome, sir. Please, take a browse of my wares.
I am Dr. Reed. I would like to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Doctor? Interesting. I'm Barrett Lewis. Usually I don't have time to waste with talk, but at this hour of the night I can hardly refuse.
How is business around here?
Business? I had no business. Between this racket, theft, and customers getting scared, I'm losing money every day.
I see. Sounds like you blame someone in particular for your situation.
It's no secret Joe Peterson spends his time harassing merchants. But with me, he's trying to put me out of business once and for all.
As a merchant, you see Whitechapel every day. Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary recently?
What you mean besides the epidemic, the war, and all the usual crap? As long as I can remember, this part of town has been a bottomless pit, and no sign of the bottom yet.
Have you been hurt?
No, but that's only because I ran like hell. Those men were raving lunatics, I tell you. Not even able to speak anymore, just screaming.
Violence is increasing in the borough.
Yeah. A few nights ago, some blokes jumped me. Came out of one of the condemned workshops. Fever, madness, something like that.
Where did this happen? Why did you go there?
In the closed workshops nearby. I worked there as an apprentice in better days. Now I only go to find trinkets or tools. Too bad I was mugged, though. There was good money in that little box of loot I lost.
Have you heard of a nurse called Doroty Crane?
Nurse Crane? So the bitch really is a nurse then? I always thought she was just some crafty foreigner, that one.
So she's trying to help her fellow immigrants. Why would that make her a villain?
Doroty Crane ain't even a real name. Something like Dorothea Craniu. Something like that. Came to England fleeing the war, I was told.
That doesn't explain why she irritates you so much.
Your precious nurse Crane gives away medical supplies and prescriptions for free. I offered to sell it for a fair cut, but no. Miss Crane wanted to play the quiet saint.
Right then. Show me what you have.
I know it's hard to believe, but this district has always been wretched. Let your guard down, sir.
Good evening, Harry. May I come in?
Sure. Sure. Even my dreams are soaked with gloom.
So, may I ask you a few questions?
I'm not bothered. What could be worse?
You and your father have a difficult relationship, Harry. Tell me, did he ever hurt you?
No, never. My father can be brutal and rude, violent even. But he never touched an hair on my head.
What is going on between you two then?
It's his job, if you can call it a job. He bullies people. Men and women we know, like poor Mr. Lewis. It's just not right.
Do you need any medical help, young man?
Yes, I do. I feel so tired. I don't know if it's the epidemic, but everything seems so hard.
You'll feel better with this. But you need to get a grip, young man. Medication alone won't cure melancholia.
I'm not sure I'm happy with the idea of living long in a world like this. But I thank you for your concern, sir.
Goodbye, young man. Take care of yourself.
Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
Cheap price, good quality.
This is no place for you, sir.
I'd head back if I were you, sir.
Cheap price, good quality. Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid.
You are blinded by your false faith, imprisoned by your daily routine.
Forgive my interruption.
Do not apologize, my son. Father Tobias Whitaker is always happy to teach mortals about the incoming Armageddon.
I am Dr. Jonathan Reed, and I just have a few questions.
A scientist? You are much more lost than I thought, my son.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences, and most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
But you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers about the Armageddon about to strike the city. Answers about the hidden truth.
Well, I suppose I can spare a few minutes listening to your so-called truth.
As a doctor, you must be aware of the decimating epidemic. But let me tell you that this so-called Spanish flu is just the beginning of the end.
What do you mean?
The beast is finally revealing itself, corrupting the flesh and the heart of men. With my own eyes I have seen them, those minions from the abyss.
Really? And what would be your answer to this biblical threat?
We must fight the disease before this legion outnumbers us. But not with scalpels and microscopes. No.
What is left then?
Cleansing fire.
Tell me, Tobias, what exactly is your plan concerning the cleansing of this city?
God will recognize his own. More than once this city has risen from the ashes, hardened and purified by the flames.
Purification by fire has proved useful, but where do you stop? Burn the clothes? The buildings? The corpses? Worse?
Your lack of faith is predictable. But my task is to convince rational minds like yours to see the light. This is God's will.
You're mad and dangerous. You're nothing but a soulless butcher. A small-time Torquemada. The Savonarola of Uайтчепеле.
My son, if you think salvation is a free gift, go listen to the lies of that pompous fool, Joseph.
Joseph, a fool?
Vicar Larrabee of St. Mary's Church. While he continues preaching his fraudulent redemption, more and more people die in the streets.
Have you any friends? Any family left in these terrible times?
No. But I have a disciple I see as my son. He is so devoted. I send him to preach the good word in the heart of this corrupted city.
Where did you send him?
I sent Samuel to the Stonebridge Cemetery, where the pestilence and evil grows night after night.
You sent him on some preaching crusade during the epidemic.
As a true believer, Samuel will fear no evil while he walks through the valley of the shadow of death.
Do you know Nurse Doroty Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like the liberal ideas of nurses, but I especially abhor that Nurse Crane you mentioned.
Why do you hate Nurse Crane more than other nurses?
Before coming to London, she was a member of the communist resistance in her country. That's what happens when you let a woman get involved in politics.
So you're not exactly a fan of Florence Nightingale's work. But nurses are essential for modern healthcare.
Nuns should be the only women allowed to take care of male patients. It's obvious only they have the necessary moral fiber.
I have heard enough for tonight. Goodbye.
Soon the time will come when you will all be judged for your sins.
Excuse me, sir. Are you familiar with this part of town? Name's Clayton Darby, reporter.
Sorry, I'm new to Uайтчепеле. But perhaps you could help me since you're a journalist. My name is Jonathan Reed.
Dr. Reed, the famous surgeon. I'll gladly help if I'm able, sir.
Why are the newspapers keeping silent about the Spanish influenza? It's as though none of you care.
There's a war going on. People shouldn't be demoralized by news of deadly diseases.
I served in France. Our top priority must be to put an end to this butchery. This war must stop now.
Sir, streets are a battlefield too. An invisible and untold war is going on, and it must be stopped.
What is a journalist doing in this borough after sunset?
He goes where none of his colleagues would dare to go, to inform the country.
So you risk your life to reveal the truth. I saw many reporters do the same during the war.
Uайтчепеле is the crucible of so many untold stories and tragedies. I want people to know them.
That's quite honorable of you. But is the public interested?
Not at all, sir. And that's why I'm an independent journalist, hoping to sell some stories.
Have you any idea of the danger you face in these streets at night?
I've had to run and hide more than once from frenzied mobs incensed by the fever. Do you think the flu is really responsible for this, Doctor?
I'm convinced there is more at work here than a simple epidemic.
Really? To be honest, I could say the same. Some of the sick I saw or heard of. My God, what happened to them?
I heard you're investigating an underground medical dispensary in Whitechapel. What do you know about it?
Not much, I'm afraid. They are wary of strangers, and I'm not really an acquaintance of theirs. Why do you care?
I'm a doctor, Mr. Darby. I care about everything involving public health and this epidemic.
Are you sure you're not just concerned about the repercussions that a scandal involving a certain nurse Crane from the Pembroke Hospital would bring?
Without a doubt, you are a damn fine journalist, Mr. Darby. What do you know of her accomplice, a man named Darius?
I don't know much about the man. He's very cautious. Never goes out. Doesn't seem to have any friends or family.
He has no relatives at all?
No. Except for that strange man, a poet named Richard Nethercott, who sometimes comes by. Darius would never let him in.
Where can I find this Mr. Nethercott?
He spends most of his time lurking around Whitechapel, talking to himself or declaring verses. These days, you can usually find him behind the church.
He never goes out?
No. A few days ago, he unexpectedly did. I followed him, but it was just a ruse to keep me away from his house.
Really? How do you know?
He went to the nearest mailbox, but just before posting his letter, he ripped it up and threw it away.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell.